You're watching Reality Check. Today was meant to be the groundbreaking of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya, positioned by the ruling regime and its media cheerleaders as a religious occasion of national unity. Now, notionally, the temple comes under the purview of a trust. The government is meant to have nothing to do with it. This fig leaf is important given that India is again notionally meant to be a secular state, where the state and constitutional functionaries like the Prime Minister are meant to avoid direct association with religion or religious events. All the more, one would think, in the case of Ayodhya, given its violent and contested history. Instead, taking center stage at the event was the Prime Minister, who was there not just as an attendee. Mr. Modi, along with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and the RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat, played a pivotal role in the Bhumi Pujan. Even at the end of it, delivering almost a half an hour long speech where the Prime Minister compared the movement for the Ram Temple, which, remember, led to the destruction of a mosque, triggered riots and widespread deaths across the country, with India's freedom struggle. Quite a dramatic metaphor. Now, in itself, this should not be surprising. Today's events will only increase the spate of the many obituaries which have been written about Indian secularism. Moreover, the movement for the Mandir, which triggered the first round of obituaries of secularism, has been central to the BJP's politics and rise since the late 90s, when the demand for the Ram Temple found its way into the party's agenda. First mentioned in its manifesto for the 1989 Lok Sabha elections, and since then there's been no turning back for the BJP. In fact, it may be helpful to remind ourselves, especially our younger viewers, as to how the Mandir card, so to speak, dramatically altered the BJP's fortunes, both in Parliament and the Hindi heartland. Let's take a look at Lok Sabha elections first. In 1984, the BJP just had 2 seats. In 1989, it jumped to 89 seats. And by 1991, the peak of the Mandir movement, it won 120 seats. In the Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections, the BJP jumped from 57 seats in 1989 to 221 in 1991. In Madhya Pradesh, a jump of 58 from 1985 to 220 in 1990. In Bihar, from 16 in 85, more than double, 39 in 1990. And similarly in Rajasthan, from 1985, 39, 1990 to 85. And hence, the significance of today's event. A sacred ritual or a political event for the BJP? Let's listen to what the Prime Minister had to say.
एक बार फिर बोलिए, जय सिया राम, जय सिया राम। हमारे स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन के समय कई पीढ़ियों ने अपना सब कुछ समर्पित कर दिया था। 15 अगस्त का दिन उस अथाह तप का, लाखों बलिदानों का प्रतीक है। स्वतंत्रता की ठीक उसी तरह राम मंदिर के लिए कई सदियों तक, कई पीढ़ियों ने अखंड, अविरत, एक निष्ठ प्रयास किया है। आज का ये दिन उसी तप, त्याग और संकल्प का प्रतीक है।
All right, joining us tonight, before I go to panel, let me just start off with Yogendra Yadav, National President, Swaraj India. Thanks very much indeed, Yogendra Yadav. So, the comparisons and the rhetoric and the adjectives keep inflating by the minute. Now, we're actually hearing that from the Prime Minister, no less, that the Ram Temple movement is akin to the freedom struggle.
Vasu, we should not be surprised. It goes without saying that it's out and out political. The Ram Janambhoomi movement, right from day one, was a political movement. And till today, it has been out and out political. Of course, the comparison with India's freedom struggle is something which all of us should be ashamed of, because India's freedom struggle was one of the most ennobling things in human history, at least in the 20th century. Mind you, this was a national movement which refused to hate even the white men who were ruling over India, which practiced a creed of non-violence, and which actually thought of humanity and uniting people rather than dividing. So any comparison with that is rather unfortunate. But honestly, Srinivas, I don't want to waste a day like this in simple quibbling about it. I want to say, I think it's for people like you and me, it's a moment for us to look inside and acknowledge three basic things. Number one, secularism as we have known it is dead today. Number two, that this death of secularism is not caused by one or two persons, one party, one organization. It enjoys popular sanction of the people of India. Number three, those who are responsible for the death of secularism are primarily the custodians of secularism, custodians of secular politics, custodians of ideology of secularism. It's a moment for us to reflect and think, rather than reiterate the most obvious thing that, of course, it's a political game that's being played out. Everyone knows it. What we witnessed today was a ritual of conquest. It was not a ritual of religion or reaching out to a deity. As Pratap Mehta says this morning, this is the first political colonization of Lord Rama. But how long can we go on repeating these things which are so obvious?
It is obvious, but also it is partly an attempt to push back against the kind of stifling consensus that is built up, that this is in fact not political. This is some kind of national unifying occasion where it's for the people. It's got nothing to do with parties and individuals. But I do want to ask you, Yogendra, before I go to the rest of the panel, that as far as the political traction for this movement was concerned, as we pointed out, that it did lead to significant political gains for the BJP, and then it seemed to peter off. But now, once again, given that again we are going to be heading into cycles of elections, especially in Uttar Pradesh and so on, do you think that now with the Bhumi Pujan of the Mandir, and now with the construction will start and all of that, that it still has the potential to yield rich political benefits to the BJP?
Vasu, over the years, we have seen that one issue, especially because it's not just the Mandir issue, I think what is being tapped into is deep psychological unease, deep sense of minorityism that the majority of this country has suffered and has felt. BJP is successfully able to tap into that. So you can keep tapping into that for quite some time. The question we should not be asking is merely, would the BJP be able to do it? The real question is, what is everyone else doing? What is the Congress doing? We witnessed what congressmen were doing yesterday. And let this be recorded in history, that the last nail in the coffin of secularism was not hammered by BJP. It was by the Congress yesterday.
Okay. Yogendra, stay with us. I want to go to the rest of the panel. We have with us Swami Medhanand Saraswati, BJP Lok Sabha MP from Rajasthan, Mahmood Pracha, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court and member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah, retired former Vice Chief of Army Staff and former Vice Chancellor of the Aligarh Muslim University. स्वामी सरस्वती जी, आपसे पूछना चाहेंगे कि ये जो पूरा जो इवेंट था आज, इसमें प्रधानमंत्री आए, उन्होंने खुद भूमि पूजन किया, पूरा उनका इसमें रोल था. प्रधानमंत्री एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हेड हैं, उन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे शपथ खाया है और उनका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहता है कि इंडिया एक सेक्युलर देश है. इसमें सरकार और जो सरकारी जो हेड्स हैं उनका धर्म से कोई लेना देना नहीं होना चाहिए. तो प्रधानमंत्री का फिर इतना इसमें अहम भूमिका क्यों रहा? स्वामी जी,
आपने ये प्रश्न किया है. आप पिछले प्रधानमंत्रियों की इतिहास को उठा करके देखेंगे. यदि हमारा कोई प्रधानमंत्री अजमेर की दरगाह पर जाकर के चादर चढ़ाता है तो आपत्ति नहीं होती है. किसी गुरुद्वारे में जाकर के यदि वो सिर टिकाता है, कितने प्रधानमंत्री अमृतसर गए होंगे, इस सब का इतिहास आप उठा करके देख लें. प्रत्येक प्रधानमंत्री की ओर से, प्रत्येक लोगों की ओर से हर वर्ष अजमेर की दरगाह पर चादर जाती है. लेकिन नरेंद्र मोदी जी यदि राम मंदिर की शिलान्यास करने के लिए जाते हैं तो वहां सेकुलरिज्म की बात उठती है. हमारे विधान के अंदर, भारतीय संविधान में, जब प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को
चादर
अपने
चढ़ाना,
धर्म की प्रतिष्ठा,
स्वामी जी, चादर
जी,
भिजवाना या जाके अगर वो अपने व्यक्तिगत तौर पे जाके पूजा करना चाहें वो अलग चीज है, लेकिन एक मंदिर का शिलान्यास
नहीं है।
एक पब्लिक
किसी
इवेंट
प्रकार
के
का-
तौर पे किया जाना, मैं इस पे सवाल उठा रहा हूं। ये कहां,
नहीं,
तो फिर आप संविधान के अनुसार आप सेक्युलरिज्म को क्या मानते हैं? अगर आप
संविधान
कहते हैं
में
कि
कहा
एक
लिखा है
प्रधानमंत्री जाकर एक मंदिर का शिलान्यास कर सकते हैं पूरे पब्लिक व्यू में,
देखिए,
तो
मैं ये
आपकी
कहता हूं,
दृष्टि से सेक्युलरिज्म क्या हुआ फिर?
हमारा संविधान कहीं भी हमें अपने धर्म के कार्यों को करने से नहीं रोकता है। हमने वहां जाकर के राम मंदिर की शिलान्यास करके माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किसी दूसरे संप्रदाय पर कोई टिप्पणी नहीं की, किसी प्रकार की कोई चर्चा नहीं की। हर आदमी को अपने धर्म के अंदर अपनी संस्कृति के अनुसार अपनी पूजा पाठ करने का हक है, अधिकार है। इसका मतलब ये
अपना
हो गया कि कोई
अधिकार
व्यक्ति-
है प्राइवेट कैपेसिटी में, नॉट इन अ पब्लिक कैपेसिटी। और अगर वो एक मंदिर
नहीं,
का शिलान्यास करना चाहते हैं पब्लिकली, तो फिर वो क्या किसी मस्जिद का भी शिलान्यास करेंगे? क्योंकि उनको दोनों सारे रिलीजन्स का बराबरी से, क्योंकि वो प्रधानमंत्री हैं, वो भाजपा के वो नहीं नेता हैं, ना ही प्राइवेट सिटीजन हैं। ही हैज टू मेंटेन इक्वी डिस्टेंस बिटवीन ऑल रिलीजन्स। या तो किसी का ना करें, या एक का करें तो दूसरे का करें।
मैं ये कहता हूँ, कभी ऐसी परिस्थिति आई है क्या जब पहली बार हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी को ऐसा मौका मिला है कि भगवान श्री राम के मंदिर की शिलान्यास उनको रखना है? तो मैं समझता हूं कि भारतीय संविधान की कोई अवहेलना नहीं हुई, कहीं पर भी किसी को कोई आपत्ति नहीं होनी चाहिए इसमें।
आप शायद परिचित नहीं होंगे, लेट मी ब्रिंग इन महमूद पराचा, एडवोकेट। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेक्युलरिज्म पे क्या कहा है बोम्बई जजमेंट में? लेट्स पुट दैट ग्राफिक अप, लेट्स जस्ट रिमाइंड आवर व्यूअर्स अगेन। It says that to the state all are equal and are entitled to be treated equally. In matters of state, religion has no place. No political party can be a religious party. Politics and religion cannot be mixed. Any government which pursues unsecular policies is contrary to the constitutional mandate, Mahmood Paracha. But yet, the Swamiji says there's nothing wrong with the Prime Minister inaugurating a temple.
Srinivasan Saab, I will also like to clarify the legal position and the constitutional provision, and that is a prime minister can have a religion, and he can, as you are rightly saying, in his private life or even
Of course.
As a prime minister go and pray, because
Yes.
that's his personal activity,
Absolutely.
his own faith. But the problem is the state machinery, and while performing functions as head of the state, he cannot act partially or cannot act as a man belonging to a particular religion. That's the issue. And here the difficulty and the problem with the Prime Minister's actions and the RSS and BJP government's actions is the following. And that is a categorical message is being sent that it was the Prime Minister under whose some kind of influence, direct or indirect, Supreme Court has given this decision, and therefore the credit of winning this case is going to a political party and the Prime Minister. That is
Right.
something which is objectionable and which is attacking the root of Indian constitution and Indian democracy.
Okay,
Secondly,
let me-
this hint has been also clarified
Yes.
or also substantiated by the Rajya Sabha nomination of Mr. Gogoi. So that is what is the root cause, and
Okay.
which all of us should be
Let us-
concerned with.
Okay. Before we get into the Supreme Court, let me just ask you, General Zamiruddin, that you've been amongst sort of almost, one would say, a very small minority of prominent Muslim voices who've actually been saying that, in a sense, what has happened today is something that should have been encouraged, that regardless of the judicial process, Muslims should give up their right to the plot, to the dispute. A temple is inevitable, a mosque is never going to be built. Do you still stand by that?
I'll not comment on the political part, but I did see the writing on the wall. Having been a judge myself,
Okay.
I am aware that judges always take into consideration public opinion. Very rarely do judges go against normal public opinion. So I had
Should they do?
advised, they should stand by whatever's in the law. But I am aware, I've examined a lot of judgments. Most of them go according to popular public opinion. The judges don't have.
But
yes,
General, that's terrible though, right? I mean, judges are meant
It
to
is.
uphold the rule of law, not rule of mob.
I agree that they should not be ruled by the rule of mob, but they do. To a large extent, they have gone. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I felt it was pointless fighting the case. It was better to close it, win the goodwill of the majority community.
Right.
Now, I heard the PM speech with rapt attention. 3 important points said. One is history being made. Okay. Temple will teach faith, love, I stress love, determination, and it will provide a bridge which will unite the country. Now let me see it.
But I don't.
Are we heading, beg your pardon?
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, complete your point.
Please let me continue.
Yes, please.
Are we laying the foundation of a new republic? Are we questioning the very idea of India? The preamble of the Constitution quite clearly says that we are a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic.
Yes.
That means it is to ensure justice,
Yes.
liberty,
Yes.
equality of all citizens.
Yes.
Is that coming? I think no.
But
I
that's,
don't think so.
But then that's okay. But that's the problem then with the argument that you're saying. On one hand, you felt it was inevitable. Muslims had to give up their claim because you felt that there was no other recourse. And if that was the case, then this is exactly what was going to unfold. So I mean, I'm not sure why this would surprise you in any way. But anyway, let me just go to Yogendra Yadav. That Yogendra, while you did sort of cast a somewhat bleak kind of prospect that secularism is dead, the secular parties are the in a sense the worst culprits, and leaving that debate aside for a minute, what is the way out? Because accepting that isn't really a solution.
Vasu, we ask and respond to questions of this kind in normal times. So
Right.
what's the way out? What should we do? We assume that the entire institutional apparatus of liberal democracy is available. There is constitution, there is rule of law, etc., etc. But Rajdeep, Srinivas, we've reached a point where we must honestly admit that the constitution of India has been changed. Constitution can be changed in 2 ways. One is by amendment by the parliament. Second is by simply abandoning it. You
Right.
abandon the constitution, you start doing exactly opposite of what the constitution says, and no one stops you from doing that.
Right.
The constitution changes. And I'm afraid it is in the second form that the constitution of India has been changed. So we should not think of the routine remedies which would have been available to us
Okay.
if we had a rule of law, if we had a judiciary, if we had independence of all these institutions.
Okay.
Today we have to think of a long-term determined strategy, the first of which would be to recover the legitimacy of the idea of secularism itself, which
Right.
has lost legitimacy among majority of people.
Okay. Okay. स्वामी सुबेदानंद जी, आप क्या मानेंगे कि ये जो आज घटना हुई, एक तरह से कई लोगों का कहना है कि भारत एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सेक्युलर डेमोक्रेसी से हिंदू राष्ट्र की तरफ बढ़ रहा है, डिक्लेयर्ड नहीं तो अनडिक्लेयर्ड, और आज जो घटना हुई है ये उसका फाइनल सबूत है?
नहीं, ये लोगों की मानसिकता है। हमें सोचना पड़ेगा कि यदि हिंदुओं के खिलाफ कोई बात की जाए वो तो सेकुलरिज्म हो गया, और हिंदुत्व के पक्ष की कोई बात हो तो वहां कहते हैं कि यहाँ सेकुलरिज्म के ऊपर आपत्ति है। ये इस मानसिकता को बदलना पड़ेगा और हमें बहुमत का सम्मान करना पड़ेगा। ये हमारी जो परिस्थितियां बनती जा रही हैं ये उचित नहीं है। हमें सोचना पड़ेगा इस बात के ऊपर कि यदि कोई प्रधानमंत्री की आस्था है और उसकी आस्था को आप कैसे ठुकरा देंगे, ये मेरा कहना है।
नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं कि लोग इस बात को कह रहे हैं लेकिन आपके खुद के एक मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हैं तेजस्वी सूर्या, वो तो खुल के कह रहे हैं, उन्होंने ट्वीट किया है, डियर हिंदूज, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट लेसन इज दैट कंट्रोल ऑफ स्टेट पावर बाय हिंदूज इज एब्सोल्युटली एसेंशियल फॉर सस्टेनेंस ऑफ धर्मा. When we didn't control state, we lost our temple. When we regained, we rebuilt. The 282 in 2014 and 303 in 2019 to Shri Narendra Modi made today possible. ये आप ही के एमपी कह रहे हैं, तेजस्वी सूर्य.
मैं देखिए, तेजस्वी सूर्य के अपने विचार हो सकते हैं. तेजस्वी सूर्य कोई भारत के संविधान की बात तो वो खुद तो बनाने वाले हैं नहीं. तेजस्वी सूर्य के विचार
तो खाई है, वो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, ही हैज टेकन एन ओथ ऑन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, और ये वो कह रहे हैं.
नहीं, मेरे अपने विचार नहीं है, प्रधानमंत्री के विचार है. ये तेजस्वी सूर्य के विचार, आप उनसे पूछिए. मैं कहता हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहीं भी,
आप इसको गलत मानेंगे? तेजस्वी सूर्या ने जो कहा, क्या आप इसका खंडन करेंगे?
नहीं, आप तेजस्वी सूर्या से बात करिए ने.
नहीं, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं. आप नहीं,
आज
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि क्या आप इस राय को गलत मानते हैं?
मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के भाषण में अगर कहीं कोई इस प्रकार की बात आई हो जो हमारे जो धर्मनिरपेक्षता है उसके ऊपर आपत्ति होती हो, तो आप करिए बात. आप किसी सांसद के बारे में मेरे से कोई बात पूछना चाहते, आप उसी सांसद से पूछिए, मैं उसके ऊपर कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करूंगा.
अच्छा, आप कह रहे हैं कि हम उसी सांसद से पूछें. महमूद प्राचा, डू यू वांट टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू दैट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर मेड अ वेरी statesman like speech, so what's the problem?
If this is statements like, then God is only going to help India. But the point I want to make is, General Saab, a decorated general, his opinion has clinched the issue, Srinivasan Saab, and that's most important. It is the opinion of a decorated general of Indian Army that Supreme Court judges will get influenced by the public opinion, which can be orchestrated also, as has been done in Ram Mandir's case also. So if an orchestrated public opinion is capable of influencing the mind of Supreme Court judges who are sworn to defend and the last resort of defending Indian Constitution, I think it is end of rule of law, and our Constitution is at greatest peril, and all citizens of India now should stand up.
This is his view. I mean, it's
SCs and OBCs should stand up to defend Constitution, because reservation is next.
No, but Mahmood Pracha
going to say that reservation is not required.
Hold on, Mahmood Pracha. Before we open too many different debates.
I'm not opening anything.
No. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm saying that on the point of the court.
If this is the opinion
on the point of the judiciary, it is still his view.
It
is still his view. That doesn't necessarily make it a
He's
fact.
A decorated general.
Because you're still a lawyer and you still argue before the courts. Yes.
So I am talking as a lawyer.
Yeah.
On evidence.
Okay.
On facts.
All right.
He's a
okay.
We'll
have to.
General, our brave, one of the bravest persons in India.
Okay.
He's saying that Supreme Court judges are now influenced by
Okay.
end of democracy.
We heard that. We heard what he said, but we're also out of time. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you all, gentlemen, so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching Reality Check. That's all the time we have. Good night.